Hello, everybody. Welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. Excuse me if I have some gray in my hair or my beard's gotten longer. I just got back from watching Game 2 of the Clippers and Suns, and that game was about 9 years long. So if I look a little bit older, that would be why. Genuinely, this was a 3 hour regulation basketball game. 3 hours. This game did not go into overtime. There are games that I have seen in overtime that were shorter than 3 hours. Most basketball games are around two, and generally playoffs like creeping more towards 2.5 hours ish, depending on like replays and stuff like that. This game was just so fucking long, and it kind of took away from the enjoyment a little bit. I don't think this post game recap is going to be too long. I don't mean to be negative because this was a good game. It's just it could have been a lot better if every moment didn't have like a 5 minute break in between it. So many replays in this one, and I'm not necessarily saying that it was a lot of bullshit replays. Most of them were pretty valid. It's just how the cookie crumbled. There were so many plays that we have to review this, and they reviewed it every fucking time. I swear to God, there were at least, and this is not exaggeration, there were at least 8 reviews in the fourth quarter. At least. Like, there's no way there wasn't that many. It might be more like 6, but it was so many reviews. A lot of out of bounds stuff, a lot of timeouts. Obviously, late game it slowed down for timeouts and shit like that. But just, my God, was this game really long for what it was. But moving on from that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. About half of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed, especially if you're checking out this channel from my main channel and you just haven't subscribed already, then just do it. It's not that difficult. Also, drop a like on this video. It is much appreciated. So actually talking about the game outside of just how fucking long it is, this game was really good outside of that. Of course, it ends on the DeAndre Ayton game-winning lob, which we'll talk about in a bit, unless I forget, in which case it was really cool, so keep up with that. But on the Sun side of things, really this game was pretty much Ayton and Cameron Payne. And even though Ayton is going to be the guy who gets remembered for this game the most because he had a game winner in the Western Conference Finals, and he did put up ridiculous stats, 24, 14, and 12 for 15 from the field. Probably a little bit better stats than Cameron Payne. I'll at least say for a majority of this game, it felt like Cameron Payne had the best performance. There was one play in particular that was a up and under that he did on Paul George, which was awesome. Had a couple of pull-up threes. A couple of threes that was like, you really shouldn't be taking that, but he had a hot game, so like you might as well. Mid-range pull up here or there, a couple of floaters. He's one to put up some floaters. I don't know why I'm saying that like that's, I don't know. That was the most terrible commentary. Anyways, I don't know why you're subscribed to this channel. I've talked about that before. Outside of that, but Devin Booker sucked. I guess he wasn't as terrible in the fourth quarter. He hit a really big shot very late in the fourth, but turnover machine and missing shots. And I hate it when Patrick Beverley actually does well, but he did a pretty damn good job of defending Devin Booker. Now, he also headbutted him and then acted like he didn't, which was fun. I'm not saying that he did that intentionally, but he literally hit him in the fucking head. Both of them were bleeding, and then he puts his hands up like, why? What's the call? Like, why are you? That's not a foul. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? But anyways, outside of that, for the most part, I mean, Jay Crowder played an all right game, and then Cameron Johnson, or not Jay Crowder, I meant Cameron Johnson. I was looking at the wrong name with the stats. Cam Johnson played well. He was 5 for 5, so that's pretty damn good. And then Dario Saric did a little bit off of the bench. But outside of that, it was really just Payne and Ayton. Ayton got a good amount of easy pick and roll opportunity. He also did a little bit of self-creation in this game, which I appreciated. And that's the thing with Ayton that I want to see him do more for him to really reach that next level. Like 1 or 2 mid-range face-up shots. He attempted a fadeaway that did not drop when momentum was swinging their way. Excuse me. And he also did a drive on Paul George early in the game where he caught the ball at around the free throw line range, and he just lowered his shoulder into PG and just took it right to the basket for an easy layup. And I just appreciated where he didn't have every basket created for him. and a couple of mid-range shots as well, which is nice. But yeah, Ayton, good game. Cameron, good game. Booker, bad game. That's the Suns side of things. On the Clippers side of things, they really need Kawhi Leonard back. This is the thing that made me pick the Suns to win this series was I just simply don't feel comfortable relying on this team without Kawhi under these circumstances. I'm not even really comfortable expecting much from the Clippers because they're so inconsistent. Inconsistency is the Clippers' biggest problem. And then you take out their most consistent and most important piece in Kawhi Leonard, literally only had one bad playoff game since being a Clipper. You take that away, and that is rough, buddy, because Paul George was not great in this game. He did hit a really big mid-range shot with 30 seconds left on the game, and Paul George is not known for hitting clutch playoff shots, so I was like, oh shit, did Kawhi just do something really, or not Kawhi, did PG just do something really clutch in the playoffs? Good for him. Well, then he had to hit 2 free throws, and he missed both of them, so never mind. He played fine, but not much more than fine. His actual stat line looks plenty fine, but I'll just say missing those 2 free throws, and there were instances in this game where, once again, I talked about this for game 1. There were a couple of shots Paul George took where it was you don't need to take shots that difficult, especially this early in the shot clock. Reggie Jackson played fine once again, and Marcus Morris played terrible once again. So for that Suns preview video, I mentioned that you need to get a good amount out of both of those guys, which is not something that I am comfortable relying on, and Marcus Morris has been ass in the first 2 games of this series. So yeah, that's not working out in their favor thus far. Reggie Jackson's been fine and pretty good the first 2 games. It's funny that I'm getting to the point where 19 points with Reggie, I just say that's fine because it's not what I would have expected a couple of months ago before the playoffs started, but he's been so good in the playoffs at 19. I go, yeah, it's all right from Reggie Jackson. Normally he's a 20-point scorer. So that's something. Outside of that, Luke Kennard was pretty good off of the bench. He hit a mid-range shot late in the game that was really big. He hit a 3 as well. So got to give him credit there. But yeah, that was about it. Oh, also Patrick Beverley. I don't like giving him credit, but Patrick Beverley played pretty respectable defense on Devin Booker at times, sometimes on Cameron Payne. Just in general, he actually played like a rotation player in the playoffs. As painful as it is to admit it, he did do well. So I guess good for you, Patrick Beverley. I don't know if you can tell I'm not a big fan. But other than that, this game was pretty bog standard in terms of what you expect from these teams. Although Cameron Payne being 29 points and 9 assists from Cameron Payne on good efficiency in a conference finals win. If you would have told me that a couple of years ago, dude, I would have been that is hilarious. But that didn't happen. That won't happen because that doesn't make any fucking sense. So I guess that's not typical. But other than that, I know what I know to expect from both of these teams at this point, and this is another really good game. Game 1 was also really good. I wonder, Kawhi coming back, Chris Paul coming back, how that can potentially swing the series in whatever direction that it can. But for the most part, this has been a good matchup. However, the Clippers sometimes look really rough, and today the Suns looked rough at times because even though Cameron Payne stepped up, Devin Booker was pretty bad. So even when it's hey, it's cool that Payne is stepping up, at the end of the day, you don't want to be looking to him late instead of Devin Booker late. And that's the situation they were kind of in, even though he did hit that mid-range shot that I mentioned. Just in general, you want something more from Booker, but at the same time, to escape this game, be up now 2-0 off of a lob to DeAndre Ayton, which I don't think I've elaborated on further. So what was great about this play was that it was actually very similar to a play they did with Tyson Chandler back when he was not, I guess he was still kind of a corpse then, but you know what I mean. Back when, last few moments of his career, pretty much the last big play of his career, I'd imagine. There was a lob to Tyson Chandler where the pass was the ball was right above the basket, but because it's not a live ball yet, because no one's touched it, you're allowed to catch the ball and then immediately dunk it in because it's not a goaltend if it's technically not a shot because it's not a live ball. So it's legal, and they did the same thing with DeAndre Ayton here. Jay Crowder threw He was on the baseline, by the way. So he threw a pass to the side, right above the hoop, right into the hands of DeAndre Ayton to throw down the alley-oop. So that was just a perfect play. Also, Booker set a screen on Zubac that gave Ayton the space, which was noteworthy. Just a beautiful fucking play. Monty Williams deserves all the credit in the world for calling that, and all the guys for knowing how to execute it properly. Jay Crowder throwing a great pass, Ayton throwing down a great lob, although I guess it wasn't actually that difficult, but he still ran the play properly. I mean, it would be difficult for me. I can't even fucking dunk, but you know what I mean. So that was a great play. I just wish I wish I could have enjoyed this game more by not being bored for like an hour of the game, because it's just nothing but fucking replays. If the replays were removed from this shit, this would have been a better experience, but overall it was still a good game. And, you know, a few years from now, I'm going to walk away from that Ayton game winner and remember this fondly, but right now I was pretty fucking annoyed about that, to the extent that it pulled away from the enjoyment factor. But regardless, that was the video. That was that game. Tomorrow, we get the first game of the Eastern Conference Final, so that should be interesting. But yeah, that's it. Goodbye.